In chapter 8, Lift follows Darkness, and as she follows him, she finds him confronting a girl who's stealing fruit from a shopkeeper. So during this, he stops her and gives the fruit back to the shopkeeper. But then the girl pulls a knife on him, and Darkness stabs her with a shard blade. Everyone's completely shocked. Even the shopkeeper thinks it's too brutal what he did. But Darkness says that the only way to stop this crime is to kill them. Like anything less would have ended with more crime happening, more thefts happening. So then after that, after Darkness walks away, Lift goes to the girl and tries to resurrect her like she did with Gorks in Azir. But she can't because apparently Wendell tells her that the shard blade kills someone quicker than they would die in another way, so it was too late for Lift to save her. But then Lift remembers her name, which I think was Tika, and Lift says that she's going to remember her name, even when most people would have forgotten who she was. So then Lift gets angry and she decides that she doesn't want to just follow Darkness, she wants to confront him and fight him. But then Wendell tries to calm her down and stops her. Lift follows Darkness and they reach, I think, where he's living, and Lift sneaks into his place and she steals his food. She finds pancakes, which was what Darkness was going to eat, and Lift eats it all. And Wendell asks, is that all you wanted to do? And Lift kind of says that is kind of all she wanted to do. But then Wendell reminds Lift of the fact that Darkness is probably going to try to find another person like Lift and try to kill that person as well. And then Lift gets a bit angry and says, okay, fine, let's spy on him longer. And Wendell agrees as well, even though Wendell usually doesn't want her to do anything that gets them into trouble. Like he was saying in this chapter, let's just go to a farm and live our lives there. But even he nodded and said, yeah, we should spy on Darkness a little longer. In chapter 9, Lift is looking and watching the area where Darkness lives, and he lives in this palace, I guess it is, which has a bunch of other people there as well. And they're all actually Skybreakers, an order of the Knights Radiant. So Lift listens to them, and she hears them talk about how Darkness is telling the people that we need to kill the other Surgebinders because they won't follow the rules the way we will. Meaning that all these people, they have surge binding powers, they're all Knights Radiants. Like there's a woman that's questioning Darkness, saying that these Surge Binders, couldn't they join us as well? Couldn't we all be Knights Radiants together? But then Darkness says we can be the only Knights Radiant because we're the only ones that are going to follow the laws. And Darkness is saying that he wants to keep the Knights Radiants like this, honourable and by the book, so that the Voidbringers don't come about. And then he gets questioned by a man who's sitting there, who's Szeth. And Szeth tells him that the Voidbringers are back. But Darkness says, no, they're not back. These are just remnants of the old Voidbringers, but that there's going to be something else, the actual Voidbringers. Now, I don't know if that's completely true, because maybe in the story, maybe it's just that this guy is wrong about how these aren't the Voidbringers, and he's going to try to just be an idiot, trying to kill all the other Surgebinders, trying to stop them from coming when they're already here, and he's working against himself in that sense then. But I mean, what we hear later on kind of makes me question whether that's true or not as well. So after this conversation happens, we learn that Szeth calls him Nin, or Nin something God. They call him God. And then Lift and Wendell talk about this, and they realize that Darkness, the way he's being referred to, is as he's one of the heralds, Nalan, which is crazy because I did not think that Darkness would be a herald. We've been seeing the other heralds come along, but I never thought that Darkness would be one of them. So it turns out he is a herald. I don't remember if he's the one that Szeth met at the end of Words of Radiance, because if he is, then in that chapter I was thinking, oh, it's good Szeth's found a herald, now he's going to be on the good side. But if this is the herald that he met, then that's not a good thing, because this guy seems to be completely off on what he needs to do. Like, he is technically doing the right thing. I mean, in his mind he's doing the right thing. He's trying to stop the Voidbringers from coming, and he's trying to save the world. But he's so wrong in how he's going about it that it feels like it's just going to wreck everything. But yeah, so in this building, these are now the Skybreakers, which is one of the orders of the Knights Radiance, like I said. And Lift is now thinking, how am I supposed to fight these people? Not only are there other Surgebinders, but he's a herald. How's she supposed to face him? And the assassin in white that she's so worried about as well. So yeah, at the end of the chapter, she escapes the palace, and she's just very confused and scared of how she's supposed to go about what she wants to do. In chapter 10, Lift goes back to the orphanage, and she gets her second meal out of the 3 that the orphanage lady gives her. While she's there, she's talking to Wendell, and Wendell's telling her, what are you doing this for? Like, what is your purpose? What's your mission? what do you want? And she doesn't really give him a proper answer, but she does kind of say a few things that kind of hint towards the fact that she wasn't supposed to change, but things are changing, and that's confusing her. She doesn't like the fact that things are changing. Wendell also says that she went to see the Night Watcher, which I think, if I recall, is like this person that uses old magic and grants you wishes or something. So I think it's the person that Dalinar went to meet, who got rid of Dalinar's memory of his wife, of his first wife. So in that case, I wonder what it is that Lift asked of the Night Watcher to do. But from the way it's written, it kind of sounds like maybe she asked the Night Watcher for nothing to change, and maybe in asking that, it meant that she was going to be the same age and everything was going to be the same for her. But since becoming a Knights Radiant, she's obviously started to change, like things have changed. And maybe that was, maybe being a Knights Radiant, or maybe the acts of this friend are beyond the Night Watcher's kind of magical abilities. But yeah, so she also says how she notices how she's growing taller. So that also kind of ties into the fact that maybe she asked to never change, and never changing, she thought she'd stay the same height as well. But then at the end of this chapter, she also meets that old man who she met before, who says a bunch of other kind of mysterious things. Lift even asks him a question, like, on how to be a proper adult. And he gives other kind of like, metaphorical words. And then Lift is like annoyed, and she's like, why did I ask this old man who has soup for a brain for questions on how to be an adult? In chapter 11, Wendell tries to convince Lift to say the words so that she can reach the next step in evolving their relationship, so that Lift ends up with the Shard Blade. But Lift says that she doesn't really know, I don't think she really knows what the words are yet, and she says that the only thing she knows how to do is steal Darkness's lunch, which isn't just his food, but it's the person that he's going to try to kill. So she's going to try to find the person and take them away from Darkness's hands. So then she realizes that this city, the people in this city, they're always trading for information, and she wonders that they probably have a place where they store all the information that they get. They write it down and then store it. So she goes to this woman and she asks for if there's a place like that where they put all their information, and the lady points towards a building, like a bunker that's taller than all the other buildings around it, and that's called the Grand Indicium. And she says that's a place that would have all this information. I'm guessing it's some sort of library or something. So that's pretty much all that happens in this chapter. One thing it kind of made me think was that since this is only kind of like a novella that's in this series, I'm guessing there's only going to be a few things that are going to kind of link to other stuff. So I wonder if we're ever going to go back to this place in the main series, or if any of the characters that we know are going to come here. I was just thinking that, and I thought if that would happen, that'd be pretty cool. In chapter 12, Lift and Wendell are discussing how they're going to go about trying to find out the information that they need to find out. So Lift thinks that maybe Wendell will be able to read every single thing in the library in the Grand Indicium and try to decipher which things are useful to them, but obviously Wendell just tells her that that's impossible, I can't read the whole thing. So then they discuss that they're going to try to find a smarter way to do it. So Lift says at the end of the chapter that she's going to try to find some important looking clothes to wear. So since this was a short chapter, I just wanted to mention one thing that I forgot to mention in a previous chapter, which was in the chapter where Lift was chasing after Darkness, and Darkness kills that girl. So do you know when Lift is trying to resurrect that girl and she fails? In that moment, in the writing, it says that Lift is going to use her awesomeness to try to bring her back to life. Now, this was a moment where I thought, okay, so here's the thing. For me personally, things like the reuse of the word awesomeness and all that doesn't bother me too much. I understand it could bother some other people, but for me personally, it doesn't bother me that much. But in this moment, where the tone was feeling kind of like sad and dark of this girl dying, and then Lift trying her best to try to resurrect this girl, in that moment when the word awesome is used, I don't really like it that much, because I feel it clashes with the tone that the moment was trying to go for. But I mean, you guys tell me, do you find these kind of things that bothersome? Like, do you get annoyed really easily when words like this are reused again and again? Or do you not mind like me? Again, do you think in that moment, do you think it would have been better if it would have been not used in that moment, or did that not bother you either? So yeah, just let me know in the comments below. In chapter 13, Lift and Wendell are in the library. They're dressed up as Arzish people, and they're trying to get the scribes to help them. But then I think during the chapter, Lift tries to use who she is and who she was in Azyr to kind of get her way, to get people to listen to her. So then she uses a span read to contact Azyr and the people there to prove that she is who she is, but then the guards show up and Lift has to try to escape from the guards as they try to catch her. But then while this is all happening, the spine read carries on, and the scribes see that the Prime Acquisix, Gorks, is saying that Lift is to be given every courtesy in this place, and that if she isn't, then the people are going to know Imperial wrath. So then they listen to her, and then at the end the scribe tells her, so what is it that you want, Lift? And Lift says, it depends on what you've had for lunch today. So yeah. In chapter 14, Lift has all the scribes working for her to try and find information on anything strange going on in the city, to try and link Lift to the Surgebinder in the city. So while doing this, they find a few strange things here and there, but there's nothing that could kind of lead them to exactly who the person would be. So Lift kind of struggles on what she should do there. But then in this chapter, she also talks to Gorks, who tells her that he misses her, and the people there want her to come back home, which is strange to Lift because that she doesn't really have an idea of home, but I guess that is the closest thing she has to it. And I guess the people that are there, they kind of want her to be there as well, especially Gorks. But yeah, at the end of this chapter, the scribes are all stopped because somebody comes in, a guard, and tells them that there's orders for everyone to go to a bunker because a storm is coming the wrong way, which we all know about, which we all knew was going to happen anyway because of the end of the Words of Radiance. So the storm's coming the wrong way and it's going to hit in about 2 hours. So everyone's ordered to go into a bunker, and the Parshmen are ordered to be exiled or killed. So that means that they know that the Parshmen are going to probably turn into the Stormform Voidbringers. So then at the end of the chapter, Lift is thinking that what's she going to do, because now all the scribes have gone as well and she doesn't know what to do. And then she thinks that she's going to try to find the woman who was with Darkness, who said that she had a lead to where the Surgebinder could be in the city. So Lift is now going to go after her to try and find and save the Surgebinder. In chapter 15, Lift and Windle decide that they're going to try to find the Skybreakers because they realize that their plan was to try to look through the Grand Indicium to find any reports of oddities in the city, and they realized that maybe the Skybreakers were doing the same thing. So they asked the scribe to see if anybody did request something similar, and the scribe said that she did know that there was someone who was asking for the information, a woman. So they know that's one of the apprentices of Darkness. So they, Lift and Windle, go to where they think she would be, and the two apprentices are inside, and only Windle can go inside to try to listen to what they say because there was no way for Lift to go in there. So Lift waits outside and lets Windle go inside to try to find out what they're saying. But while Lift's waiting, she sees Szeth see her. And Szeth actually sees her, and he takes his shard bait out for like a split second, but then he puts it back inside and walks away. So he notices her, but he doesn't do anything. And then Windle comes back and says that the two apprentices and the assassin in white, I'm guessing, are going to the person because they found the person, the Surgebinder, in the city, and they're about to perform an execution. So Lift and Windle are now going to go after them. So one thing about this chapter, when Szeth doesn't kill her, here's the thing, Szeth is definitely the most confusing character for me. I mean, not in a bad way, obviously, in a great way, because I can never tell if he's going to be if he's going to be good or if he's going to be bad. That's one of the best things about his character, is why he's one of my favorite characters. Maybe he just left her because he was on his mission now to find and kill the other Surgebinder, but who knows, maybe he knew that Lift was a Surgebinder, but he left her. I don't really know. But yeah, that's what happened in the chapter. And there's one thing I actually remembered while reading this chapter. I don't know why I remembered it while reading this chapter, but Lift, when she says earlier on in the book about the dreams, how she doesn't like having dreams because when there's dreams, they always show you something that's better than what you have and something you can't have, and it's not good to have those dreams, which is why she doesn't like to dream. And I just realized today that's actually really true, because I had a dream last night and it was about something, that I kind of wish was true but wasn't, and it's kind of just it kind of in a way ruined the day. I mean, it's better now because now I'm reading and I'm back out of this reality and back in fantasy, but yeah, that just made me reflect on what Lift said, and it was really true. Yeah, chapter 16 was a pretty short chapter, but one of my favorites in this book, which is funny because I think I mentioned that my other favorite chapter in this book was also a really short one. But yeah, this chapter, Lift watches as the apprentices go and fly away using their stormlight to go to the person they're about to kill, but Szeth stays behind. When Szeth stays behind, he talks to Lift and says that you're the other Surgebinder, aren't you? And he knows who she is. So he has a bit of a conversation with her, and we get a little bit more into how Zeth's thinking right now, and I feel like he's really lost because he doesn't really know what to do. He says that he can't distinguish between the crazy voices in his head, like and his real self anymore. And that's because of all the stuff that he's done, killing all the kings, because he says that killing them, their screams are in his head, and those screams are what's turning him mad. And but he does say that one thing he does know is that he believes what darkness says, that men can't be trusted, especially with these powers that they're starting to have now. So he agrees with darkness in that sense, but he's still really lost. And then Lift wonders why he didn't kill her, and he says that the sword likes you. So I'm guessing that wasn't really his judgment, it was the judgment of the sword that he was given. Then he tells her who the person is that they're going after, and it's a Lightweaver, and it's not just any Lightweaver, it's the man at the beginning of the book, the philosopher, the one who kept asking Lift those philosophical questions at the orphanage. So at the end of the chapter, Lift says that she's going to try to find and save that man, and now she knows where he is as well. So she's going to go and try to save him and fight against 2 Skybreakers and Herald himself. In chapter 17, Lift runs all the way using her powers to go to the orphanage, but by the time she gets there, she kind of runs out of her powers and she needs food to fuel up. So she goes into the orphanage because she still has 1 meal left, and when she goes inside, she finds that all the kids are kept inside from the storm because the storm's outside. And while she's in there and she's waiting for the food to come, she's sitting and she's around all these children, and she's kind of reflecting, realizing that she's not very different to them. Like, she has this mission to go outside and fight all these crazy people, but deep down she's just one of the other orphans. And it reminds her that when her mum died, she went to all these cities, but all she ever was an orphan going to places where she was always alone. And then she's with these kids, and that's when she kind of tells Wendell that what she really wants here is, or what she really wants out of life is just control over what happens to her and control over what she does and everything. That she doesn't want fate to control the way of her life. Maybe that's why she doesn't like the way the powers have come to her, because she didn't control when the powers would come. They just kind of came to her. But then that also makes her. Then she also sees that the boy. Do you know the boy who got left by his mother in the orphanage? He actually before he would have these kind of. He seemed a bit like he was like hurt in the head, like he wouldn't talk properly, he wouldn't be able to speak properly or anything. But this time he's talking to her like he's kind of healed or something. And Liv's wondering if she healed him somehow. And then she's like, I don't have control over how I use my powers. But then after she's had her meal, she thinks outside and she's like, the old man might be dead already. But then she's like, I've got to go out and try to save him. So she runs out of the orphanage and she goes into the storm to fight the 2 Skybreakers and save the old man. In chapter 18, Lift runs to find where the old man is because she's trying to save him. And when she comes across him, or when she comes across where they were, she sees a dead body, and she at first assumes it's the old man and she's ready to remember his name or remember him. But then she sees that it's not the old man, it's one of the Skybreakers. So it's not only the woman, but behind her she sees another body, it's the other Skybreaker, both of them are dead. Then she begins to hear a voice, and she sees the old man. But he isn't just the old man, he forms together out of cremlings, loads of little like insects that form into him. And he's kind of he's not even a human, he's this creature that's made up of all these kind of other creatures. And he tells her that he's not like the only one, there's other people like him as well. But yeah, that part was crazy, I did not expect that to happen at all. And then he says that Nail, who's the Herald of Justice, or Darkness, is actually going after someone else because he isn't the Radiant and he's not the one that needed saving. There's actually still another person in the city who's a Radiant who's going to be killed by Nail that night. So Liv tries to figure out who it is, and then she remembers and she realizes that the boy that was in the orphanage, she didn't heal him. He must have been healed some other way. So at first I thought maybe he's the Radiant, but then Liv says it's Stump, which is the woman who works at the orphanage. I didn't mention her name before, but that's what she's called in this book, the Stump. But yeah, she's the Radiant, and her kind of money laundering that she was doing with the spheres, and those spheres that had gone down were because of her. She was like taking them in. She was taken in the storm without even knowing it. So she's the Radiant, and now Liv's gonna go and try to save her from darkness. Another crazy thing that happens in this chapter is the old man. He mentions his interest in the Radiants. Like he talks about the Liar, which is Shallan, the surgeon, which is Kaladin, and the High Prince, which could be either Renarin or Dalinar. But yeah, and he says he's not that interested in the Radiance, but there's others like him who are interested in Radiance. And also he easily kills those other two Skybreakers. He describes it as a soldier killing a child, which is how he killed them. So if he's this powerful and these creatures are this powerful and there's others of them who are interested in the Knights Radiant, then I'm guessing in the main series we're going to see the Knights Radiant come across these people, and maybe they're going to have to fight them, because it sounds like they're going to be tough to fight. Like, if there's going to be a fight with one of these versus, I don't know, Kaladin or something, I bet that's going to be so cool. But I wonder if that's going to happen in Oathbringer or maybe later on, I don't know. But yeah, this was a really good chapter that had a twist I did not see coming. Chapter 19 was insane. So a lot of stuff happened here. Mainly, Lift went to save Stump, and while getting to the orphanage, she found that Darkness was already there. So she has a huge fight with him, and during the fight, the Stump comes down the stairs, and Darkness gets her and stabs her with a knife. Not a shard blade, a knife. His reasoning for that was kind of to bait Lift, but after this, Lift runs up to the roof, and Darkness follows her, and while in the high storm, this crazy high storm's happening with the red lightning everywhere, Darkness comes down at her with his shard blade, and then Lift finally puts her hands up. She thinks that she's going to get killed by the shard blade, but Wendell turns himself into a shard weapon, not a shard blade, a weapon. So the weapon does stop his shard blade, and after that he questions, like, how does she actually think she can kill me, a herald? And she says, look around you, the high storms come, and she says, look to the Parshmen, and the Parshmen, like, there's something about the red lightness lingering within them, and their eyes are glowing red. And she's telling him that the Voidbringers are here, like, there's nothing you can do. What you're fighting for is false, because you think the Voidbringers aren't here yet, and you're trying to stop them from coming, but they're already here. And then after this, Darkness realizes what's happened, and he kind of falls to his knees, and he starts crying, and he's like questioning what he's become. And then Lift hugs him, and he continues to cry, and he kind of clings onto her, but then he pushes her back, and then he flies into the sky and vanishes. So that was all crazy. So the first thing I'll mention is that the weapon that Wendell turns into is kind of like this long silvery rod, and I might be mistaken, but I was wondering while reading this that I'm actually liking the Lift a lot, so I kind of hope we get to see more of her in the upcoming books. I hope she's not just here for this novella and only in interludes, or like one chapter in each book. But then I remembered the UK cover for Rhythm of War, which I saw. I questioned who that was, because it was not Shallan, and I was wondering, is that Yasna? But then I saw the weapon that she was holding, and it wasn't a shard blade. It looked kind of strange. It looked kind of too long and thin. And then I'm wondering now, is that Lift, and is that the silvery rod that Wendell turned into? Because if it is, I'm very excited, because I would like to see Lift again. But if it's not, then I'm still questioning who the hell that was. But yeah, the next thing I want to mention is a little bit of a complaint, I guess. For this chapter, when like Lift hugged Darkness, I felt like, and I do understand why it happened and everything, but I didn't feel that was that end. That felt kind of off to me, and how quickly Darkness kind of went against who he was, because before he did that, while he was fighting her, he was telling her he wouldn't even really care if she died. He has no emotions within him. He was saying that's the perfected version of a man, is him who has no emotion, no guilt for killing these people, because he's doing his duty. He's fighting for his honor. But then at the end of the chapter, he kind of completely goes against that really quickly, which I don't mind it happening, but it just felt a bit quick to me. I mean, you guys tell me, do you think the same? Do you think that was fine? Did you feel that moment was earned? I still love this book, but just that moment I didn't love as much, even though I don't mind what actually happened, if you catch my drift. I'm also thinking, so since, which by the way, I've confirmed that he is the Herald of Justice, which is the one that met Szeth at the end of Words of Radiance. So he is that person. Now, considering his change of heart now, which is not too different to what happened to Szeth at the end of the last book, and them two being together, does that mean maybe we're going to see them both kind of grow together, or are we going to see them both kind of devolve into evil? I hope it's not the latter, because I want Szeth to be good. I really like Szeth. You probably know that already, but yeah, I like Szeth, and I want him to be good because I know he has good in him and he wants to be good himself. In chapter 20, the final chapter, Lift is in the orphanage with the Stump, which by the way she healed at the end of the last chapter, and she's discussing with her how she's a Knights Radiant, which the Stump can not believe. But yeah, she says that to her, And then one of the scribes comes in and talks to her about Gorks, who has a message about the high storms and how it's affected all the people in the world, which it says it's affected mostly the villages and not the cities as much. But they're saying that the more that come, if there's going to be a lot more that come, then it could do extra damage. And then Lift asks the scribe about all the different pancakes that she wanted to try. Remember, there was 10 pancakes she wanted to try. And the scribe says that the 10th one is just kind of like an imaginary pancake, and it's not one that you actually eat, which disappoints Lift quite a lot. And then Liv says that she's going to go to the bathroom, but she doesn't just go to the bathroom. She goes with Wendell and she leaves the city. And she's leaving for Azir because she thinks that she can go back there and help them out, being one of the Knights Radiants. And on the way out of the city, she sees the guard Hawker, who's kind of like, stressed out about all the immigrants after the high storm who seem to be injured quite badly. And Liv sees her, smiles at her and tosses her a pancake. And while she walks out of the city, she walks past the immigrants, and she breathes out Stormlight and heals all of them as she goes along. And the last words I really like, which is what Lift says to Wendell. Wendell, it's strange, but I'm starting to think you might not be a Voidbringer after all, which is what she'd been calling him throughout the whole book, and even in the chapter that was in the Words of Radiance. She doesn't call him as friend, she always calls him a Voidbringer, but finally she's not going to call him that now. But yeah, so that's where the book ends, and I'm going to have to say I really did like reading this book. So I'm glad I read it before going into Oathbringer. I don't know exactly what's going to be in Oathbringer that's going to kind of be the payoff for this book, because there's going to be quite a few things I could see being payoff in Oathbringer from this book. But in general, I think on its own, it was a good book to read. I liked the character Liv quite a lot. And I liked reading the story of Darkness, who we know as Nail, and the Skybreakers. And we get a bit of Szeth as well, which I'm sure is going to tie into him in Oathbringer as well. But yeah, I'm excited to see her being... to be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing her being one of the main characters now. Same with Szeth. I kind of hope Szeth moves out from being just an interlude character to being a normal perspective character, and I'd like to see Lift as that as well. But I do understand, that's a lot of characters in that Brandon would have to write about, so I do understand if some of them are kind of shortened. But yeah, I do like Lift quite a lot. She's a very likable character. There was a few moments that I did relate to her, and I'd like to see where things go with her. I want to see what kind of part she plays in the rest of the story now. But yeah, thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed me reading through Edgedancer, and I'll see you guys in the next read through, which is going to be for Oathbringer. And before I get to that, I'm going to do a little review of this, which is going to be like a bit of a is it worth reading Edgedancer kind of video. And if you're new to this channel, subscribe for more, because I'm going to be doing many more videos like this in the future. Thanks for watching and have a good day.